I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Hey, I'm making this video in response to last weekend I made a video, a response to Crazy 316 regarding the contradictory genealogies in Matthew and Luke, and that actually on that video I think I got more comments than I've gotten on any other video I've made so far, and reading through those comments, a whole lot of I've been thinking about them all week. The comments I got, mostly from Christian Truthhammer, who wrote quite a bit, and I thank you, by the way, if you are watching this. I appreciate you taking the time to write those comments. I really do appreciate it. It's even though I don't agree, I do thank you for the effort that you put into that. I realize it takes a lot of time, but I want to talk about apologetics in general in this video, because reading through the comments I got, mostly from Christian Truthhammer, as I thought, it makes me I think that when we are arguing about these contradictions or discussing these contradictions, that those of us who don't believe in biblical literacy are arguing a different point than those that argue for biblical literacy. Okay, meaning we are arguing that these two this verse and this verse say two different things. They both can't be true. So obviously, one's in error, or both are in error. The literalists are saying, no, we can create a narrative. We can write a backstory that makes both of them true. So therefore, there's no contradiction. And we're arguing, well, you shouldn't have to do that. And they're arguing, but our backstory is plausible. We're like, but you shouldn't have to do that. But our backstory, you can't say our backstory is impossible, but it shouldn't have to be that way. Anyway, so you see, so their belief is that if their explanation is not, you can't prove that it's impossible, they can say checkmate. We just destroyed that contradiction, when they've done no such thing. And this came to mind. Actually, this is the second version of this video I've made, because while writing the description, I thought of a better analogy than the one I used, which was quite stupid in the first one. So okay, now follow me here. Okay, Lithodid Man, right? My journal. Oh crap! I should have had a journal to hold up, but I don't have one. If I had my journal, I'm writing in my journal. This is I'm writing that my son Darwin was born in the daytime. He was born, it was I write a little thing about, he was born, the sun was shining through the window, it was daytime when my little boy was born. Now, on my blog, again, I don't even have a blog really, but on my blog, I write, my little boy was born at night. It was a clear night, the stars were shining, it was an amazing evening. Okay? Two completely contradictory statements I just made, right? They both can't be true. However, in the distant future, the year 2000, anyway, in the distant future, there are LithodidMan-literalists, okay? There are my group, sprung from my subscriber list after my martyrdom, and they believe that everything I wrote is true. They believe that every single jot that I put down, everything I say, everything I wrote is absolutely true. When people who don't believe in their viewpoint point out to them, well, he said his son was born in the daytime, and here he says his son was born at night. There's a flaw, there's a contradiction. But, the Lithodid Man apologists, they're smart people. They say, you know what? His son was born in Lafayette, Louisiana, okay, while he was doing his graduate work. Lafayette, Louisiana is in the Central Time Zone. So yes, it was daytime in Louisiana when his son was born. However, Lithodid Man and his son are Alaska residents. It's Alaska time zone. It was nighttime in Alaska when his son was born. It was dark outside, and there were indeed stars. See? I just explained it away. You can't argue that that's not a plausible explanation. Now, in the actual words I wrote, I didn't state that I was talking about time zone or residency, right? I said my son was born in the daytime, my son was born at night. There's no reason why. The only reason you would create that narrative about residency and about time zones is because you a priori assume that everything I say is inerrant. Everything I wrote is absolutely 100% factual. Okay? I could have been making a mistake. I could have been recollecting, back through the mists of time and just, I thought it was nighttime or I thought it was daytime. I could be lying. Maybe the fact that he was born at night fit something else that I was talking about. Maybe it flowed better that it was nighttime because I was discussing the long Alaskan nights. Whatever it is. The point is that there's a simpler explanation than having to go into this whole thing about that I'm writing from one perspective and I'm writing from another perspective somewhere else. And that's why both of these statements are true. And likewise, Matthew, yes, Matthew was just as Crazy and Christian Truthhammer pointed out, Matthew was writing for a predominantly Jewish audience. Luke was probably writing for a predominantly Gentile audience. They had different goals. The likely explanation is that they had two different sources of genealogies. Okay, and I want to make this point. This is really, really important. Okay, just like with my son being born, if you didn't have my journal or you didn't have my blog, there would be no contradiction, right? If you didn't have one or the other. Nobody would read the narrative in my blog without the first one. Nobody would read about my son was born at night and say, I bet he was talking about the time zone, right? Nobody would, you wouldn't invent that narrative unless there was the contradiction. Likewise, okay, I want you to think about this really carefully. If, in some alternate reality, the book of Matthew never made the canon, never made it. Book of Matthew is part of the Apocrypha, okay? There's no such thing. We have the three Gospels, no Matthew. There is not a single fundamentalist Christian, not a single biblical inerrantist, not a single person would read Luke and go, oh, this is clearly Mary's lineage they're talking about. Nobody would read that into it. Okay, nobody looks at it. They pretend. Okay, this is this idea, this pretending. They pretend that the contradiction doesn't exist because, right from line 1, it's clearly Mary's lineage they're talking about. When it's not clearly Mary's lineage. The only reason they say it's Mary's lineage is because there is the book of Matthew that has a different lineage. Okay? It's a story, a backstory created to explain the contradiction. Okay, does that you follow me? You guys act like with any of these contradictions that you would have years of reading the Bible, I never even noticed it was a contradiction. I never even thought that it was a contradiction because it was obvious to me that they were talking about this and talking about that. Okay, when that's simply not true. And you got to know it's not true, okay? It's obvious to you because you've already read the apologist explanation for it, okay? So you're pretending it's true. You're pretending that it's obvious to you when it's really, really not. You would not read. There's not one thing in Luke that indicates it's Mary's lineage. Not a single thing. And I know they say, oh, but this word and this word means, you can apply all of those things, but you would not have seen that if Matthew didn't exist. Okay? I'm going to end this now. Hopefully this will turn out better than my first version. I hope I made some sense. I know if I did, it'd probably be the first time. So, all right, take care.